Good morning. It's Sunday. You're going to see the sunrise behind me. Um, or hopefully you'll see it, but yeah, you can see it. Ah, beautiful. And here, let me show you guys my companions too. Say hi, Mallory. Mallory. Okay, she's being a dog. There's the other doggo being a dog. Say hi, Chloe. Okay, there we're getting. They are my shadows, and they usually go everywhere with me. And anyway, I am at home this morning because I have a house full of teenagers and young adults and extra cars in my driveway that are preventing me from going where I normally go, which is a short little 1 mile drive to my the beautiful park that I'm so lucky to live by, with the lake and everything. But so you're gonna, and I turned my chair around so you all could see this beautiful sunrise glimpsing out of the corner of my chair here. And okay, so now we're back to reading the Bible in a way where I have to, or not where I have to, God is helping me kind of string a lot of chapters together where we've been going deep on a single chapter a day, and maybe being able to hone in on one verse to like, okay, we've got to read a lot of chapters here, and what is the overall message or concept or thread that we can pull out? And the words hope on the horizon just came to me very clear, because there is, with Isaiah, he is prophesying about Jesus coming, and he is talking about it in the context of the Messiah and everybody getting off track. And now but there's hope on the horizon, but it's a long distance off that horizon, and that journey to get there is long, and it's hard, and it might be violent and dark. We've got to go through all the briars and it's trying to, I'm a movie fan. Y'all know, anybody that knows that, if you're new and you're watching this video for the first time, I'm a huge, like, Lord of the Rings fan, all those that genre of movie, as well as some sci-fi. So I could, like, my mind was going to all kinds of places, like, Mount Doom and the journey to melt the ring, or throw the one ring in the fire, and all that they had to go through to get there, like violence and scary things and yuck, and but the hope, they had this hope, this plan that was guiding them, and that was worth going through all of this to get to. And even in the Matrix came to mind too, and Neo's journey, and of course, even in that movie, they refer to the machine, their city is Zion, which, that's what they refer to, that shining city on the hill. Anyway, hope on the horizon. And even in today's world, I know there are a lot of people that really hone in and like really focus on the second coming of Jesus. And when I think about hope on the horizon, and even what they're talking about here, like, we've got this great thing that we can look forward to that's going to be great. But first, we've got to deal with Assyria. We've got to deal with the people of Egypt. We've got to deal with the jealousy between Israel and Judah. We've got to deal with Babylon. We've got to deal with Philistia. We've got to deal with Moab. I mean, it just goes on and on. Ethiopia. There's a lot that we've got to go through. And they're not just sitting there waiting for a coming, something to come and save them. This is an active, bi-directional thing that we have happening in history. God because he gives his creatures or humans free will. Not all the creatures have free will. They do not have free will. They are driven by instinct. They do not think the way we do. So that was a misstatement. As a matter of fact, my husband and I were talking about that with our dogs yesterday because they were doing something that was very like, how do they know to do that? These are house dogs. And anyway, well, maybe I could bring that little story in because there really is a difference. And as much as I want to peopleize my dogs and, we live with them and cohabitate with them, and I can try to start to even talk to them and think of them like little people, they're not. They are dogs. And my husband was at the butcher yesterday, and the butcher gave him some cow bones, chopped up to give the dogs, like some dog bones filled with sinew and marrow, and man, and one of the dogs actually went and buried it, and then dug it up and then enjoyed it. Like, that is pure instinct. There was no choice being like, what should I do with this? And it just pure instinct. Those dogs had a very dog day, and living with us, sometimes they're robbed of their dogness and their ability to just be dogs. So maybe that actually will be a good analogy that weaves in overall. Yeah, I think it will. God is so good that way. And as I was thinking of course, I go inside as a coach, and I help individuals on an individual basis see hope on the horizon, make a pathway, but it's not all sunshine and roses. It's going to be hard work. We've got to be prepared for the journey. We've got to have the right tools. We've got to expect, difficulty. Not only expect it, but have a plan to deal with it, and the patience and the fortitude and persistence. We keep the eye on the prize, and we try to, and being this prepared and kind of knowing how the brain works and challenges that pop up, and how powerful our ego is and our internal instincts. God gave us those instincts along with intelligence and free will. And now we are like supercomputers that get to work all of that nuanced magic together, hopefully for a good end result. But it can go sideways real quick, right? That is the story. It's like the Groundhog's Day of the Bible, and even us as humans. It's like, okay, yeah, we can do this, and whoop, we're off track. With our instincts, our ego, our preconceived ideas of who we are based on maybe where we're from. If you live in the country, this is what country people do. If you live in the city, this is what city people do. If you go to this church, this is what these people do. We take on all of these personas and ideas of who we are that then kind of dictate and control us in our behavior, right? And then contribute to the outcomes in our lives. And I believe when we become open to the truth of Jesus, and then what he's calling us to, he asks us literally to drop all that. Forget everything you think you know about who you are and come follow me. We have to let go of all of this. And it's that is very threatening and very scary and feels very violent at times. What do you mean I'm not a lawyer? And I can't think of myself a lawyer. Okay, I can still be a lawyer. Didn't they do it with the fishers of men? They told them, okay, you're a fisherman. Stop thinking of if you can't let go of your self-image of being a fisherman, I will make you a fisher of men. And using that, even those ideas that we have about ourselves in a new way. We have to unbecome to become. So it's an intentional going towards what we see that is also coming and what is also possible. we've got to go and meet the horizon. If we just sit and just sort of wait, some people just think that salvation is a passive, like, oh, I got saved. Like, it's all good. I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to walk around and call myself saved, or I'll say these words. But they haven't done any of that deeper work of deconstructing themselves to reconstruct in what God is calling them to. I think they're missing half the boat. Do they still get saved? I think so. I think that's what the Bible tells us. But that doesn't always yield the results of a wise and fruitful life. So I think it's a multi-step process, or actually we should do this. It comes into the mind and we start to conceive, but in order to really receive and understand, it's a long way from the head to the heart. And to be able to deconstruct your ideas of who you are, who you think you are. And I think a lot of what we see, even though it is very real and it's a historical book, there's also a lot of metaphor and allegory to what happens within the human. We have our own ideas and our own Babylons and Egypts and, warring things within us that we have to sort of conquer and put in new identities in place. For some of us, that might actually mean maybe quitting a job. Others, it might be just like, okay, I am in this job, but now I'm going to approach it with this new mindset. A lot of us live very segmented lives. Okay, I'll be this Christian over here at this time with these people and on this day or this hour on Sunday, and we don't integrate it into our lives or allow it to be integrated into our lives. That is where we kind of get threatened, right? We're like, well, I don't know. And I'm calling me out here. Like, I am still in the process of doing that, even despite like being vulnerable enough to do this live on my own personal Facebook feed. I'm wrestling with all of these things. Like, what does this mean? But I am even as a coach, I'm a realtor, I'm a mom, and I'm a Christian. Like, they're all still sort of segmented, and I've got to deconstruct a lot of things to reconstruct and integrate them in a new way. And that, I'm telling you, it's not fun. It's not a fun and easy process. It feels like a lot of violence and destruction at times, metaphorically. And even when you are in relationship with other people, just like these countries are in relationship with each other, there is, a process to establishing new ways to relate to each other. And there's even descriptions in here of even God even coming in to help physically make a way and splitting a river into 7 streams that's crossable by foot. But a strong wind had to come, an outside force had to come and help make that happen. And then they had to then take advantage of that. So sometimes God does big things like that in our lives, but then we still have to actively engage with that opportunity and even see it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I still, we have so many movies that we can go to. I've listed a couple of mine, but there are many more epic movies out there that maybe you could even think of that would help you. I think we can that's why we gravitate towards movies and these stories, because there's something in us, like a thread that sees that there's something bigger at work, and whether or not we want to step up to the plate and do our part of the work? Or are we satisfied with good enough and whatever comes my way, and however that plays out after this life, if there is one, okay, like we do maybe just enough. But in the New Testament, we're told about, the possibility of like heaven coming to earth, a new earth and a new heaven. And I think that is like when we can actually, as humans in this life on earth, do as much of this work as we can of deconstructing and of the ego of, these personas and masks that we wear in our identity, and reconstruct something new where all of these things are integrated and we're not tied. We can let anything go almost at a moment's notice, like Jesus asks us to, because that's not who we really are. We understand that those might be just assignments and things that we're doing at a season in our life, but it's not who we are. I don't know if any of this is making sense. This is not easy stuff to understand. I think that's why there's this whole huge book about it with lots of different stories and ways that the story and the concepts are told. And this is how humans learn. Repetition, experience, time, hardship, victory, after the hardship, surviving a hardship, going, and learning that we can do hard things and we can have faith in a process and in laws, just like we kind of understand that we can trust gravity and our sight and our five senses, that there's even more to it than that. But it takes, that stepping out and doing some of this hard internal work and changing some relationships with people in your lives, with roles that you play, however you have identified yourself, and then rearranging all of those pieces and maybe removing some pieces and making a new way for it all to be integrated. There's hope on the horizon. We see the light. We're told about the coming Messiah and the light that he will bring and how different it will all be. But there's a long time before that happens, and a lot of things have to be put into place, taken out of place, destroyed, rebuilt, blah, 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 before we can get there. But we got to keep our eyes on that so that we know that all of this is for a purpose and will be worth it. And, take all of these concepts and turn them inward, and be willing to do the work for as much as you can as a season. But also, just like with seasons, there is a time to just work, and then rest and breathe. Let the crops rest. Like, there's so many analogies that we can use, and that God uses through nature to show us a cycle of hard work, growing, harvesting, rest, back to work, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we've got to be measured in our approach and intentional and willing to be deconstructed in order to be reconstructed, and for head knowledge to become heart knowledge. And there's no shortcuts other than the time and experience, and often a lot of suffering along the way. I think. I don't know. But hope's on the horizon. I know that, and marching towards that. All right, rise and shine. Have a great Sunday. Bye.